Okay, wow. This election, all right. Can you believe it? 19 days, just 19 days until it's all decided, Trump or Harris. And let me tell you, the stuff we're digging into today from the Daily Beast reads like a political thriller, seriously.
It's really something else, even for a U.S. presidential race. Yeah.
No kidding. So, the Daily Beast is reporting that Trump is ducking interviews all over the place.
Interesting.
And not just, what some might call the liberal media either.
Yeah.
He canceled on NBC, flat out said, see you later to CNBC, squawkbox. What do you make of that kind of strategy at this point in the game?
Well, it could be a way of, controlling the message, right? Avoiding any potentially challenging questions, maybe even on-the-spot gaffes.
Makes you wonder who else he's going to cancel on.
Yeah, and this close to the election, it could really fire up the base, that idea of not backing down. But it's risky, no question.
Risky is putting it mildly. He canceled on the NRA.
Oh.
Yeah, the NRA said it was a scheduling conflict. Come on, who's buying that? A scheduling conflict with the NRA 19 days before the election.
Yeah, you have to wonder. I mean, the NRA's endorsement, that's huge with Trump's base. This cancellation, whether it was planned or, some kind of internal chaos, it's a big deal. It could be a sign of, well, maybe some cracks in the foundation, so to speak.
And speaking of shaky foundations, there's JD Vance, right, running for office. And he's quoted as saying there's zero chance Trump would ever use the military against U.S. citizens. But hasn't Trump kind of hinted at that before?
Right. There have been statements, you're right. I mean, you could interpret them that way.
Exactly.
Vance calling it preposterous, though. Interesting tactic. It distances him from something that could make some voters uneasy, the moderate ones. But it probably appeals to those who are okay with Trump's more, shall we say, strong stances. Walking a fine line, that's for sure.
Especially with the polls being what they are. The Daily Beast mentioned Pennsylvania, Harris, and Trump are neck and neck. But New Hampshire, she's pulled ahead. But we've been around the block enough times to know polls don't tell the whole story, right?
Never do. They give you a glimpse, sure, but things like voter turnout, last-minute deciders, even the weather on Election Day, for crying out loud.
No kidding.
Anything can happen in 19 days, especially in the battleground states. Those are the ones to watch.
So that means every rally, every speech, every single handshake matters right now. The Daily Beast talked about Bill Clinton being back, stumping for Harris, while Vance is rallying in Pennsylvania. It's all about getting those voters out, wouldn't you say?
Get out the vote. Yeah, that's the name of the game. These last few weeks, it's all about getting your base energized and hoping to sway those undecided voters. Every single vote, it's amazing to think about. But you know what I find really interesting? It's what the Daily Beast said about Mitch McConnell. Now, that's a real head-turner.
Tell me you're not talking about McConnell, who's supposed to be Team Trump, calling him stupid and despicable behind his back.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's all coming out in some new biography, these comments. And let me tell you, they are very telling. McConnell needs those Trump voters, right? For his own sake, politically speaking. But he also knows what kind of damage, what people say Trump is doing to the Republican Party's image. Talk about a tough spot to be in, right?
Trying to be loyal but also save yourself, that's a heck of a balancing act.
Absolutely. And it makes you think about all those times, like back in 2020 when Trump said he might just leave the country if he lost to Biden.
Simpler times, huh?
You can say that again? Yeah, no kidding. Speaking of navigating those tricky situations, the Daily Beast also mentioned Trump going solo to that Alfred E. Smith dinner in New York.
Wait, solo, isn't that usually like a head-to-head thing between the candidates? With the whole, poking fun at each other? Man, I'd love to see Trump work a room like that.
It's usually a chance for some lighthearted jabs, both candidates going back and forth, but this time, Harris decided to sit this one out. Whether that's strategic, like dodging any awkward moments, or just a scheduling thing, who knows? But it's definitely something to note.
Especially with Trump, let's just say he's got his own style of humor, right? He's going to use that opportunity to get some digs in, even with Harris not there. Should be interesting to see how he plays it, and of course, how the media spins it all.
Oh, absolutely. Whatever the media runs with after that event. Instant campaign fodder. But, beyond all the theatrics, the sound bites, the whole social media circus, this election really boils down to something much bigger than all that, don't you think?
Always does, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the who's up, who's down of it all. The polls, the gaffes, those rallies. But at the end of the day, it's about the country's future.
Exactly. The economy, healthcare, climate change, social justice, all of it. These are the things that affect people's lives every single day.
So, as we're getting closer and closer to Election Day, what are you really keeping an eye on? Like, For those of us trying to stay informed, what should we be paying attention to in these final weeks? Give us the inside scoop.
Those swing states are key. Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Wisconsin, Michigan. Those are going to be the deciders, no doubt. And pay attention to how the candidates frame their message now at this point. Are they trying to fire up their base, or are they trying to win over those undecided voters?
It's not just what they say, it's who they're saying it to,
Yeah.
right? Got to be strategic about it.
Exactly. And you got to watch out for those October surprises. You never know what might pop up, could change everything at the last minute.
Like, we haven't had enough surprises already in this election, right?
Right. But seriously, those unexpected things, they can really influence how people vote, can even swing the whole election. And it reminds us every single vote truly does matter. Speaking of looking back, the Daily Beast brought up something interesting that happened in 2020.
That whole thing with Trump saying he might skip the country if he lost to Biden, the Daily Beast even brought that up. Crazy, huh?
Shows you how intense things were, and still are, This election, both sides, they're really invested. It's high stakes.
And that intensity, it gets into everything, doesn't it? The way they talk about the issues, what you see on the news, even just talking to people. It's a lot to handle sometimes.
It really can be. Which is all the more reason to, take it all with a grain of salt, question everything, hear different sides of the story, and most importantly, don't shy away from those tough conversations, the ones that really make you think.
This election, it's not just about who gets to live in the White House, is it? It's bigger than that. It's about the kind of country we want, right?
Exactly. So as we get closer to Election Day, think about what matters most to you. What do you want to see happen? And then, how can you be a part of making that happen? Your voice, your vote, it all matters.
Now, those are some words to live by. So, keep asking the tough questions, folks. Keep those conversations going, and keep your eyes on the prize. We'll be back soon to dive into some more news with you. Until then, stay curious, stay engaged.